It was a crisp October morning in 2027 when I first saw it. Smack in the center of my 40-acre farm in southern Oregon stood a hulking concrete monstrosity of four-story parking garage, complete with glaring floodlights, freshly painted lines, and a gleaming elevator humming softly on one side. My boots crunched through the frost as I stood at the edge of my property, mouth agape, staring at this alien structure that had invaded my quiet life. No calls, no letters, no warnings, nothing. I'd just returned from a 3-week trip visiting my son in Colorado, leaving behind rolling hills, cedar groves, and silence. Now, I was greeted by the growl of construction equipment still parked on my grass and a stranger in an orange vest directing traffic like it was just another Tuesday. This can't be real, I muttered, my breath visible in the chilly air. A red minivan pulled up beside me, and a woman with a tight smile leaned out. "You must be the new HOA president. Thanks for greenlighting this parking project. It's already easing our overflow issues." I blinked, dumbfounded. "Excuse me." She laughed, pointing at the garage. "You know, the parking lot for Riverbend Estates HOA? The whole neighborhood's raving about it. Genius move using this empty field, Mr. Callahan." My hands shook. "Lady, this is my farm. I'm not in your HOA. I don't even live in Riverbend." Her smile vanished. Her window rolled up, and she sped off. That's when I saw the sign bolted to my fence. "Property managed by Riverbend Estates Homeowners Association. Trespassers will be fined." My name's Jack Callahan, a 62-year-old retired paramedic. I'd sunk every dime into this farm after leaving the job early, dreaming of a simple life with my goats, my dog Rusty, and a barn full of calm. How could someone build an entire parking garage on my land without me knowing? But they had. Cars were parked on my pasture, zipping in and out like it was a public lot, and I hadn't even unpacked my duffel bag. What I did next sparked a firestorm, but let me take you back to where this nightmare began. 3 years ago, I bought this farm just outside a sleepy town in Oregon's Willamette Valley. Back then, it was all open fields and the soft hum of bees at dusk. My son, Ryan, visited often with his wife and kids, always saying, "Dad, this place is your sanctuary. Don't let anyone touch it." That peace didn't last. Trouble started when developers broke ground on Riverbend Estates, a sprawling subdivision just beyond the gravel road bordering my land. At first, I didn't care, people need homes. But soon, construction noise drowned out the birds, trucks rumbled too close, and my no trespassing signs kept vanishing. Then came the visitors. A guy named Corey, clipboard in hand, claimed he was from the HOA, just checking boundaries. I told him to get lost. Next, a woman named Marjorie rolled up in a golf cart, suggesting my unused land could be managed for community projects. I laughed her off, but I should have seen the warning signs. Before my Colorado trip, I'd locked my gate and left Rusty with my buddy Tom, a retired park ranger who lives nearby. Tom later told me the gate was cut open 3 days after I left. Workers showed up with heavy machinery, claiming I'd approved a community project. They had permits, signatures, everything looked legit. Tom called the county, but no one called back. Now, here I was, staring at a parking garage on my farm. I dialed the sheriff, my voice tight. "Someone built a parking garage on my land, and I want them gone." The dispatcher paused. "Could you repeat that, sir?" I growled. "The HOA built a garage on my property, and I'm not even a member." An hour later, Deputy Larson arrived, his eyes widening at the concrete behemoth. "You weren't kidding," he said, snapping photos. "This isn't just trespassing, Mr. Callahan. If they poured concrete and ran utilities, it's a serious crime. But I'll need proof this land's yours." I handed over my deed, title, and survey. Larson nodded. "I'll file a report, but this might go deeper than a mix-up." My blood boiled. "How deep?" Then a silver sedan pulled up, and out stepped Marjorie, the HOA president, in a tailored blazer and a smirk that made my skin crawl. "Mr. Callahan," she cooed, waving a folder. "We need to discuss the community development agreement you signed last year." I snapped, "What agreement?" She opened the folder, revealing papers with my name and signature. Problem was, I'd never signed them. Deputy Larson's eyes darted between us. Marjorie's smile didn't waver. That's when it hit me. Someone had forged my signature. This wasn't a mistake, it was a setup. Before I could speak, A deafening boom echoed from the garage. Screams followed. Smoke poured from the third floor. Larson sprinted toward it, radio crackling. My paramedic instincts kicked in, and I ran after him, ignoring his shouts to stay back. Thick smoke meant something maybe electrical was burning fast. Inside, I found a teenage girl trapped in a locked SUV, pounding on the window as smoke filled the cabin. I smashed the glass with a fire extinguisher, yanked her out, and carried her to safety just as flames licked the vehicle's hood. Fire trucks wailed in the distance. As paramedics treated the girl, I glared at Marjorie, still clutching her folder. "You built a death trap on my land," I said. She sniffed. "An unfortunate accident, but the land's approved for development." Larson frowned. "I'm looking into that, ma'am. This doesn't smell legal." That night, I sat with Tom and Ryan, who'd flown in from Colorado, poring over documents, deeds, surveys, county records. Ryan's voice shook. "Dad, they forged your signature and filed fake permits while you were gone." Tom, stroking his gray beard, nodded. "This is a long con. They probably faked an easement, rushed construction, and thought no one would notice." I stared out at the garage, now taped off, its ugly bulk looming over my fields. "I'm tearing it down," I said. Tom raised a brow. "You sure?" I nodded. "I'll find out who signed those permits, who built it, and I'll rip it apart myself if I have to." Next morning, I stormed the county recorder's office, demanding every file tied to my land. The clerk, a jittery kid named Nate, handed me a stack. "Says here you leased the land to the HOA for 50 years at $1 a year." I stared. "Does that sound sane to you?" He shook his head. The signature looked like mine, but the notary was Vivian Holt, the HOA's lawyer. This wasn't just fraud, it was a conspiracy. Back home, I showed Larson the files. He whistled. "This is identity theft, forgery, maybe worse. Get a lawyer." I already had one, Sarah Reed. Then Tom called. "Jack, get to the farm. The HOA's digging a hole at your gate for a security post." I sped back, tires spitting gravel, to find Marjorie and her board overseeing workers pouring cement. A sign read, "Riverbend Estates HOA Security Checkpoint. Authorized access only." I roared, "Stop now." Marjorie smirked. "This section's under easement for community use." Tom, recording on his phone, stepped up. "I've sent this to the sheriff." Larson arrived, ordering the workers to halt. Marjorie fumed but backed off when Sarah pulled up with an emergency injunction to stop all HOA activity on my land. That night, Ryan found a code on a blueprint, ZX09LT12UTIRT. Sarah gasped. "That's a utility permit for fiber and water lines. They're not just building a garage-a-theory running infrastructure for commercial development." My fists clenched. A shopping plaza? Offices? On my farm? I barely slept, sitting in my barn with Rusty, staring at the garage's dark silhouette. This wasn't a dispute, it was a land grab. And they weren't alone. At dawn, my gate's motion sensor pinged. The camera showed 4 men digging near my barn in the dark, burying cables and a box labeled Cascade Ventures, property of. I grabbed my flashlight, shotgun, and Rusty, creeping toward them. "Hands up," I shouted. One bolted, but Rusty tackled him. The others froze. The box held routers, cameras, and plans for a fiber route through my farm to a commercial lot. Larson arrived, detaining the men. One worked for the county proof of corruption. Marjorie showed up later, nervous, offering a deal from Cascade Ventures. "Your land's key to their network. They'll cut you in." I laughed. "After forging my name and digging up my farm?" She snapped. "You're blocking progress." I said, "I'm standing on my land." Sarah filed a federal complaint, and we tipped off reporters. The story exploded. HOA and developers caught in land fraud scandal. Marjorie vanished. Cascade's CEO, Victor Kane, was arrested on live TV. But the final blow came at 7:43 a.m. The next day, a county SUV rolled up with a man named Paul Vance, announcing an eminent domain claim. "Your land's needed for public utilities," he said. Sarah countered with evidence of fraud, and a judge blocked the order. The state attorney general's investigation went public, exposing a scheme to rewrite land records for profit. The garage was demolished, cables removed, and I was compensated not for me, but for a paramedic training fund in my late wife's name. I rebuilt my fence, repainted my barn sign Callahan Farm, Mary 1992, and added a solar security system. The press called, but I wasn't after fame. I wanted to say, you don't need billions to fight. You need guts and truth. One evening, Tom grinned. Think they'll try again? I sipped my coffee. If they do, the whole valley's watching. Rusty barked, and Ryan laughed as we watched the sunset over my farm, still mine. Where are you reading this from? Drop your city below. Have you ever fought for what's yours against impossible odds? Should I have taken their money and walked away? Or was fighting worth it? Comment, like, and subscribe to join the fight for what's right.